Human beings want to believe that they are free thinking, that they are autonomous. They are not. Human beings are manipulated all the time by media, by politicians, by church, by mosque, by religion, by culture, by rituals, by your parents, by Coca-Cola, by Trump, by the Brexit campaign, by everything. We are not autonomous. We are easily programmable. When you awaken to the idea that the world we live in is made up of a lot of outdated false constructs from generations past,
so much.
You truly live to be free.
What's up, guys? I'm Helene Clabecq and you're watching a new episode of Life Disrupted. I met Vishen Lakhiani about a month ago at his event at Mindvalley University, and today we're interviewing him about, of course, awakenings, disruptions, his journey, and the reason why he wants to take humanity to a new level of unity and consciousness. Let's go.
When I talk about bending reality, the important thing to understand is that there are two realities that we live in, right? There's actually multiple, but there are two really simplistic ones, the world of absolute truth and the world of relative truth. Yes. Absolute truth says that this candle here that we're looking at is made of wax. No matter what culture, no matter what your beliefs, you cannot argue that that candle is made of wax, right? Yeah. And that it's gonna burn with a flame when we bring a match to it. That's absolute truth. Absolute truth also says that this pillow is soft, that rock is hard. But then there's the world of relative truth. Yeah. Relative truth is what people have decided is true. Relative truth is that some people believe that immigration is bad. Some people believe that immigration is good. Some people believe that men are stronger than women. Some people believe that men and women have equal strength at work or in office. Some people believe that children are annoying and bratty. Some people believe that children are the most wonderful creatures in the world. It's all relative. Yeah. Now the problem is, most human beings grow up in relative truth and believe that it's absolute truth. For sure. Because of their religion, they believe that they are born a sinner. Because they were raised in a fundamentalist Muslim or Christian household, they believe that gay people are wrong. And if they might be gay, they believe that they are wrong. Yeah. They might believe that they are weaker in government or in a boardroom because they are a woman. They might believe that they are less good as a human being because they might be too short or too chubby or whatever. They believe that aging is a part of life because their parents died when in their 60s. Yeah. They believe that they might inherit a genetic disorder or a disease from their family. All of this is relative truth. Yeah. All of these are what I call rules or bullshit rules. So one of the ways to awaken is to understand that we are swimming in the sea of rules that come from culture, religion, and beliefs which are not true at all, and you can question them. Yeah. So let's look at a couple of rules we can question. Do you really need a college degree? Studies are beginning to show that college degrees don't really matter much. Unless you get into Harvard or Stanford, college degrees don't really matter much in terms of your total success in life. Do you really need to get married? As early as 1989, in books such as Seed of the Soul, authors like Gary Zukav said that marriage is a dying phenomenon, and it shouldn't exist in the world anymore because women are as strong as men. Instead, he said, look at the concept of spiritual partnerships. Should you really have 2 kids? Do you really need a car? Do you, or can you participate in the shared economy? Does your job title really matter? So as we look at rules in the world around us, we start to see that there are so many things we can do to liberate ourselves from the shackles of religion and culture and dogma and just bullshit programming. Yeah. And rules are highly dangerous. Human beings want to believe that they are free thinking, that they are autonomous. They are not. Human beings are manipulated all the time by media, by politicians, by church, by mosque, by religion, by culture, by rituals, by your parents, by Coca-Cola, by Trump, by the Brexit campaign, by everything. We are not autonomous. We are easily programmable. When you awaken to the idea that the world we live in is made up of a lot of outdated false constructs from generations past,
so much.
You truly live to be free.
Do you have a rule specifically that has changed your life the most? Something that you've awakened to and you're like...
Well, there have been many. For example, a few months ago, my ex-wife and I questioned the rule of marriage, and we decided to do a conscious uncoupling.
Yeah.
After being married for 16 years, we're like, wait a minute, we're living in a lie. We're living in that lie that when you marry someone, it has to be forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. So whoever said that this is true?
Yeah.
So what if we stayed friends, we stayed co-parents, we stayed, business partners, but we separated and led our own life? People can't understand that. But I can tell you, marriage is not a rule. Marriage can be wonderful. But the idea that you have to be with one person forever and ever and ever, that's a rule. So there are so many things about the world that we are trained to believe is true, but isn't true. Steve Jobs said, when you grow up, you start to understand that the world around you was made up by people no smarter than you.
For sure.
And you can change things, you can question things, and when you do so, you will never be the same again.
How can you explain that you have this drive to question what's around you and go against the grain?
Because I've seen the stupidity of living by the rules. I grew up in Asia. I grew up in a conservative country. I grew up in religion. I went to a horrible government school where the teachers were super strict. I was the guy who would get caned a lot for not following the rules. And I think I was naturally rebellious, but I began to understand that all the people around me, they were not bad people. They were just living in a fog. They were not aware of what they were not aware, and they were blindly doing the status quo.
Yes.
And it still happens today. I mean, so many Americans cannot understand why they have an obsession for guns, but they think that that is the way the world has to work. Guns everywhere. You want to buy a machine gun? Great, no problem. It's the Second Amendment. They were programmed to. And I know that's going to be painful for Americans who are hearing that, but let's go further. Let's really push this. Brits were programmed to vote for Brexit. Don't believe me? Watch the documentary.
I'm sure.
Hacked.
I'm sure.
Right? Robert Greene, in his book, The Laws of Human Nature, said that everybody believes that they are independent in their thinking, but they are not. Everybody believes they are good, but good is open for definition. Trump believes he's good. I believe I'm good, and I'm anti-Trump. So who's really correct, right? But the main thing is that all of us are operating based on programming. We are like VCRs. We've all been programmed. And when you can understand the programming around you, you free yourself. Your health changes. When you understand how much money Coca-Cola puts to make you believe that happiness comes in a red can filled with high fructose corn syrup, you liberate yourself. When you understand how much Trump is making you fear people of other colors and how that fear is used to win your vote, you liberate yourself. Brexit was one of the stupidest decisions ever made by the people of a country. They were programmed and manipulated by Nigel Farage and Boris Johnson. Downright lies.
Do you think we need to move away from capitalism in order
Hell no,
to
I'm not even
have
bashing capitalism. Capitalism is fine. What I'm saying is that human beings have to understand that capitalism and politics and the world as we live in right now, including religion, have been designed to control us, designed to make us take on behavior for the good of profit, or behavior for the good of the power of the church, or behavior for the good of the political party. And there's evidence for this everywhere. I mean, have you read the studies of how women started smoking? It was an engineered campaign, where
for liberty.
Right, an engineered campaign to encourage women to smoke.
Yes.
A brilliant marketing executive one day, this was around the 1930s or 1940s, decided that there was a parade in Fifth Avenue in New York, and during the parade he arranged for 5 beautiful, stunning women to walk out of different doors right around Fifth Street, near the area with the beautiful church, Fifth Avenue in New York, come together in the middle of the road, whip out a cigarette, and walk in unison smoking a cigarette. Then he arranged for the press to write a story about that. Rebellious women light up on the street. And then he created a campaign for women who want to smoke to march to demand the right to smoke. All of those women were programmed and smoking became something that women started doing almost as frequently as men. Right now, that's an example of how the media can engineer behavior. Politicians do it as well. Americans are not bad people, but go to a Trump rally and they seem crazy. But those were good people, programmed with values that arise from white supremacy thinking. I interviewed a Nazi once, a man who served in Hitler's army. I asked him, he's now dead, he was very old when I interviewed him. I asked him, what were you thinking? Yeah. And he said, I don't know. I just thought that Hitler had all the answers and the Allies were lying. I believed that the fact that we were killing Jewish people was Allied propaganda.
Yeah.
Everyone are susceptible to it. So when you understand that we are swimming in a world designed to influence us in negative ways, in ways that bring us in control, you liberate yourself. You vote better, you eat better, you consume better, you're better able to take care of your body and your family. And so do I think capitalism is wrong? No. There's such a thing as conscious capitalism. I think Mindvalley sells the #1 product in the world you want to spend your money on because we sell education and liberation. We make you a better person. But hell no, people should not be investing in companies like Coca-Cola or Pepsi or Nestle or Red Bull. I mean, fuck them.
Yeah.
They're basically machines designed to manipulate us to consume shit that's wrong for our body.
How do you see the new generation of influencers who want to change the world, who have a mission, who are conscious?
I think some of them have it right. So the millennial generation is one of the wisest, most caring generations. Like every new generation of human beings has higher and higher sense of inclusivity. Inclusivity is how much your compassion, your kindness extends to all living creatures. In 1872, Charles Darwin wrote a book. And in that book, he theorized that mankind is going to become more and more and more compassionate to each other until we become a single earth civilization. He even predicted that nations would merge to create unions of nations. He predicted the EU way before the EU even happened. Now, when we talk about good, this is one of the most advanced measures of goodness out there. It means we extend our compassion to people outside the artificial circles of religion, color, race, ethnicity, creed, identity, to all human beings, all life. So I may think I'm good, and Trump thinks he's good, but if you look at Darwin's theory, if you look at Ken Wilber's ideas of human evolution, my good is actually a little bit more progressive because Trump villainizes people outside the United States border. I don't believe in borders.
Yeah.
My kindness extends to people all around the world. And the more we can increase this expansion of kindness, it's called world centrism, the more caring individuals we create. Now, here's the problem, here's the good thing about millennials. Every generation of human being has higher and higher and higher senses of inclusivity. If you go back to 1991, in 1991, the majority of Americans felt that a mixed race marriage was wrong. They literally believe it was wrong for a guy like me to marry my former ex-wife who was white, right?
That's all there's going to be in the future.
If you look at the current generation, they think, who gives a damn, right? Race is just skin color. Who gives a damn?
Yeah.
So every generation is getting more and more inclusive. But these generations have to understand that inclusivity also means the right choices when it comes to the companies we start. Not all companies are equal. Not all capitalism is equal. Not all marketing is equal.
Right.
We need to create companies that are actually looking at inclusivity across the world, but looking at that from the point of caring for people long term and carrying multiple generations down. Coca-Cola is a horrible company. I believe it should be banned in countries. I believe if you're investing in Coke, you're being irresponsible, and that applies to Warren Buffett as well, who's one of their biggest investors. Why? Because Coca-Cola is a company designed to take high fructose corn syrup and market it as happiness. Go to their Instagram page.
Pretty much, yeah.
Instagram page says Coca-Cola stands for positivity. No, it stands for obesity and fucking diabetes.
That's true.
Right? So is the entrepreneur who started Coke equal to Elon Musk, who's the entrepreneur who wants to save the earth from global warming? No. So let's not say that all entrepreneurs are equal. That's a bullshit
Absolutely.
statement.
That's true.
Right? And
Ethics need to come
millennials,
first.
I'm hoping millennials are already waking up to the idea of inclusivity. Let's go back to Brexit. 75% of British millennials did not want Brexit. They did not want it because they are more inclusive than the older generation. And they are the ones that are going to be inheriting Britain. Of course, they didn't vote, so they lost that chance. But millennials have to also understand that the companies you work for should be companies doing good for the world. And good means helping heal the planet, helping improve conditions on this planet multiple generations down.
So I can see now how one of the solutions to move into that direction is to gather communities of conscious leaders and conscious entrepreneurs who can inspire each other, show the way, show that it's possible, and give hope in humanity again. Because when we look at what's going on right now, it's easy to feel the fear, but there's actually so much we can do about it.
And I think humankind is moving to more and more levels of inclusivity, to sustainability, to caring for the planet. But we have to stop living in denial. And we have to be more disruptive in how we toss aside the old ideas that do belong in the garbage bin of human history.
What's the overall message that you want to pass on to people?
The biggest message I want to pass on to people is that the number one thing in life should be your personal growth. We forget this. We get obsessed with the job or the love or the money. But really, life is about one thing. That first one thing is about discovering yourself. And that means really dedicating your life to growing in every way possible. Your mind, your spirit, your soul. I believe that we are souls having a human experience so that the soul can evolve. Now think about that. If you believe the soul is here to evolve, then why not go straight and amplify that evolution? Study personal growth. Learn to take care of your health. Read books on wisdom. Go for classes, for seminars. Now many people say, I don't have time for that, but they miss the point. When you do that, your business expands, your life grows, you become better at your job. Remember, I was able to do the jobs of two people when I worked in Silicon Valley because I invested in my ability to go and access altered states through meditation, to tap into intuition, to play with bending reality. Personal growth amplified what I could do in the world. And this is what Mindvalley is about. It's about teaching people that your number one priority is to make you the best you can be. And everything else should come secondary because everything else will grow and evolve and become better when you change and make yourself better and better every day.
So if I asked you what your definition of success is now, would you say that it's about elevating your soul as much as possible?
So, firstly, success is another bullshit term. I hate using that word. Success is an idea. Okay, let's go back to the 1980s. Let's look at the movie, that famous Michael J. Fox movie, Secret of My Success. In that movie, Michael J. Fox becomes successful when he gets the top job, he is dating the beautiful girl, and he has the big office and the top floor.
Yeah.
But in today's world, like, is that really necessary? I have a friend who works in a huge bank, right? And he's telling me that it's really sad because one of his co-workers committed suicide. That person was promoted to a vice president, got the fancy office, got the big salary, but killed herself because of how depressed she was. This is the illusion of success.
Yeah.
Success, happiness, and fulfillment are completely different things. So what truly makes us fulfilled? I don't think it comes from the job or the title or the money. I think it comes from discovering ourselves. Look at Maslow, Abraham Maslow. If you look at this, remember Maslow's pyramid. The top level of the pyramid is self-transcendence. The level one step below that is self-actualization. And the level below that is self-esteem. So we often associate success with self-esteem. We think we gain esteem when we have the fancy title, when we drive the fancy car, when we have the corner office. But that's not the top of what it is to be human. you can go beyond that to self-actualization. And now you're actually better off because you're focused on growing yourself. Nobody tells you, decides how good you are, you decide. Nobody decides that you're a success, you decide. You're in fact a perpetual student of life.
Yeah.
That's self-actualization. Now you can go beyond that as well to self-transcendence. This means you live your life to serve other people. So to me, success actually is bullshit. It gets people trapped at the self-esteem level when they're 2 levels above. So Mindvalley is about getting people to self-actualization. And when you get there, there's actually a second level to Mindvalley, and that's self-transcendence. Why is it that I talk about unity politics? Why is it that I talk about an earth flag? Why is it that I talk about conscious politics and conscious capitalism? It's because when you get to self-transcendence, you cannot start companies which are fucking up the world.
Yes.
You cannot vote for right-wing nationalist politics because every decision you make has to lead to a better world multiple generations down. That is success. It's realizing that life is about self-actualization, self-transcendence, and doing a thing about it.
Thank you for saying that. If you had a slogan or a quote that you live by, what would it be?
The first one would be this. It's rule number 1 in Mindvalley, and it's about self-actualization. And that is, your work is not about your work. Rather, remember that your work is nothing more than the greatest vehicle for your personal growth. If your business fails, it doesn't matter. Did you grow? If your business succeeds, it doesn't matter. Did you grow? Growth is the number 1 thing that matters. Now, the second quote, we call this rule number 2 at Mindvalley, is that your life is not about you. Rather, your life is about the lives of everyone you touch.
That's beautiful.
And that ties to self-transcendence.
Thank you. We're going to end on that as the conclusion.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was beautiful.